This tutorial covers how I make and animate physics-based tails. Everything explained is personal preference, so experiment and adjust according to your own situation. Here I'm using a very simple sculpt to represent a segment of the tail. With grid mode on, you're going to clone the sculpt out, ensuring there's at least one row of grid dots centered between each piece. Using connectors, connect them together at the first or second dot from the edge. And then pull down the purple part to roughly the center point. Now select all the pieces and remove collision. They will automatically be set to movable due to the connectors. Notice when I double-click X at the base to highlight all, it highlights everything from that point down. Now if I do the same further down the tail, the highlights start from that point. This works with arms and legs too. Here I highlight all, then hold X and unhighlight just the pieces in order to isolate the connectors. Now the detail panel applies to all the connectors. You can also press play and do this to see live feedback on the changes you're making. 75 is a good starting point, and lock rotation so they don't spin in place. Keep tweaking and shaking your tail until you're satisfied with the floppiness. Now highlight all and group the tail. This allows you to easily change its size. Scope into your puppet and use a connector to attach it. And one more shake for good measure. If you want to adjust it so he doesn't look like a meerkat, press triangle on the base so you get the glowing connectors, then angle the tail. Now to animation. The first way is to keyframe the tail group as a whole. You might think this would look stiff like it does right now, but in play mode, it's actually only animating the base piece and leaving the rest of the tail to act naturally according to its physics. Remembering to place the timeline on loop helps with this part. With simple animations like this, you only need a few keyframes. Now for fully animated tails. The difference here is you will scope into the tail group and move all the pieces around individually, except the base one, otherwise this happens. It can still be moved around separately when you're scoped out, just avoid that while you're scoped in, and you should be fine. I recommend giving tail animations like this their own line on the timeline. For the Xenomorph tail I use the same techniques, I just shrunk as I cloned. The Sculpt was made with a ball joint on one end and a socket on the other to look like it fits snugly together. Normally you would want your connectors to be straight, but to get the unpredictable whipping, I offset the connector here in order to propagate the imbalanced physics down the length of the tail. And those are all the things I know. Hope you learned something. See you next time.